think it's a very small percentage of her really feels a way about Caitlin Clark. And I think 90% of the vitriol that you see is towards what crazy ass fans, bro. And the people are not just her fans, but people that are using her as some type of weird ass weapon for racism. There are thousands and thousands of weird ass yahoos on social media who are stomping for this young lady, and it makes it hard to cheer for her, man. I'm a dude who loves basketball. Me personally, her fans are so fucking weird. Like I can't deal with them. But see what the difference between me and Cheryl Swoops is, she gets paid a lot of money to cover the WNBA. She's got to find a way to not let that kind of stuff bother her and just cover the game. Cover what you're seeing. It's undeniable how big Caitlin Clark is for the WNBA.
Tune in to The Anthony Sane Show, Wednesdays and Fridays at 12 p.m. weekly on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Stuff was hard, man. I was trying to make ends meet. I remember this like it was yesterday, man. It was a Friday night. I came back in from working a long little day of work. I came back to my crib and I had an eviction notice on my door. I just prayed that night and I'm like, God, whatever you want me to be doing, if I'm doing the right thing, if this camera is the right thing, like just let me know. I woke up that next morning, man. I had a text from Ja like, yo, has anybody signed you? Well, I'm finna sign you. And it was like literally that next morning, man, I dropped my phone. And my mom's house was probably 3 blocks away. I run over to my mom's house. I show her the message. She starts going crazy. She's like, my prayers are working. And I was just like, I prayed all last night. I was on a flight to Memphis 2 days later. And it's just like, Memphis is definitely love out there, man. So I love it. You know what I'm saying? At first, I was a little skeptical. I ain't gonna lie. Definitely was a little skeptical at first about the M. But man, it's definitely been love.
Tune into the No Bluffing Podcast with your hosts, Christian Ingram and Evan Hayes, every Monday at 12 p.m. only on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
All right, Brevin, so I'm watching football this week. First week of the NFL, right?
Yes.
It was week 1 of the National Football League, the Shield, I like to call it. And it was weird because Sunday I'm watching Red Zone, which is that's all I need on Sunday. I don't have a team that I am ridiculously fanatic about. I have a couple of teams that I root for that I really like. But I like to watch what's happening around the league, and I feel like I'm watching every game on Red Zone. It's one of the greatest channels on all of cable television.
I'm about to not have a team. I can tell you that much.
And I'm watching the Red Zone, and they said, let's go to this next game. And out of the tunnel comes running this team. And they looked like the Montreal Canadiens of the NHL. But it looked like the Montreal Canadiens had slept with the Michigan Wolverines because their helmet was like red and blue, but the Michigan deals. And they said, and I was like, who's this? And they said, that's the New York Football Giants. Please, your thoughts on the uniforms that the Giants ran out on the field with.
The uniforms, it was indicative of what the game was going to be. Trash. When I turned on the TV, I had to hit the guide thing again on the YouTube TV. But what game did I turn it to? I thought I turned it to the Giants Vikings, but I don't know who is this team out here.
Yeah.
And then after I hear why and what it was for, it's like I understood. Yeah, like, that's definitely give a nod to the 100-year anniversary and all of that. But just give the nod to them. But don't those uniforms.
How about a little notice?
Those uniforms were awful. Awful. And it just from the beginning, from the uniforms right into the game. And the thing is, everybody was like, well, are you upset because they lost? Like, no, it's not. It's not even that we lost. I mean, we've been losing for a while now.
It's been a minute. Yeah.
We had the one flash in the pan of when Daniel Jones went to Minnesota. We had the big win in the playoff, and everybody thought, here we go, Dayball. Well, listen, I was drinking the Kool-Aid too. Sipping it on up, thinking here he has the mentality. Maybe we found man, we have just straight gone plummeted from that point on. And
I think I lost my microphone. Am I good?
Yeah, it's there.
It's inside my shirt. Am I good? Okay. I thought it fell down. All right. Sorry. Welcome to the program. It's Night Court. He's Brevin Knight. I'm Rob Fisher. We start the show talking about the Giants, the G-Men.
Can't even say it like that.
After week one, this man already hates his football team. After 1 week, man. What? Overreaction Monday is the greatest, especially after week one, because everybody who loses thinks they suck. You think this is it? This is it? It's over?
Well, the thing is how they lost. It's not that they lost. It's, again, how. Again, inept on the offensive end. Penalties, as it was. Defensively, it's like just can't get the stops when you need to get the stops. But a lot of that is predicated because how bad they are on the offensive side of the ball and continue to be bad offensively. No downfield throws of any sort. Daniel Jones continue. Listen, I've been like, give him a chance because the line is as bad as like, but bro, if you're at least decent, like you make up for some of the deficiencies that your team may have. And then the way that, this is the biggest thing. I watched the Hard Knocks from that, not the Chicago Bears, but the Giants one that they did from the offseason.
Right.
And it was the air of the front office as if they'll have the answers, forget the players. And like the Saquon Barkley thing was like, well, if he doesn't, we'll be all right. We'll find people to stand in for him. Bro, he's the best player on the team by far. Like there was no New York Giants without Saquon Barkley. And so whatever we replaced him with is like, we'll see what happens. Like you said, it's only the first game, but it's just the same theme and thread from why they've been bad in the past. It just continued in game one. I think that was, if they would have just went out, executed and just didn't make enough plays to win, that'd be one thing. They didn't make enough plays to do anything in that game.
Sorry about your team's loss. You know, my teams, the Arizona Cardinals, played really well and almost
had a good
beat
game.
The Buffalo Bills.
Yes.
Almost beat the Buffalo Bills. Not expecting much from my Cardinals this season. But that's okay. They're on the rise. Fly, Cardinals fly. And then,
did you steal that from the Eagles?
Yeah, I stole that from the Eagles.
Oh,
Go Big Red. And then you have my other team, the Kansas City Chiefs, who are just fine.
That was a great game.
Fine.
But Lamar had two great opportunities.
And how good did he look?
He looked so good, but like
physically.
Yeah, with the weight loss and everything, the way that he moved, he looked fantastic. But he had a chance to make two plays to get that one to overtime, and missed two big ones. But it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a fun season. New England gets a win right off the bat, and Mayo gets his first win, and it against Cincinnati. Nobody saw that coming. The Jets got their behinds kicked by the 49ers, and I'm be honest with you, I don't know why, but I think I'm rooting against the Jets.
Because it could be a disaster.
And I almost think it is because the Aaron Rodgers thing to me just has been so blunt. And I think he's a great quarterback, but this whole thing, like, he's just going to come and when he plays, they're just going to win. Well, I'm like, no, it's not going to just happen that way. And so I was happy to see San Francisco beat their behinds.
All right, couple of notes out of the Shield this week. Dak Prescott signs the biggest deal in NFL history. 4 years, $240 million, $231 guaranteed. That's a league record. The $80 million signing bonus, also a record, keeps Prescott with the Cowboys through 2028. As a Giants fan, as of the moment.
Exactly. Of the moment.
Are you happy Dak's staying in Dallas, or do you wish he would have gone elsewhere?
I wish he would have gone elsewhere.
Yeah.
And the thing is, because he's really good. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, he has some mistakes, he does, but at the end of the day, you still, if you're a Cowboys fan, you still feel like every day you go out there, something good can happen with him being your quarterback.
Right.
And so to see him, so I would rather him be doing it somewhere else, because he's beat up. They've absolutely just destroyed the Giants the last couple of seasons, and he's been a big part of it. But I can tell you who hasn't been good is the guy who's making $239 million, which is the quarterback with the Cleveland Browns.
Holy smokes. Deshaun Watson. And now he's got another accusation against him.
Shut up. You're lying.
Yeah, that the NFL's investigating. Although, for the Cleveland Browns' sake, this could get them out of the contract.
That's the only, that I don't want
Because
anything.
he's a bad football player.
Oh my gosh. What happened to him? Like, it literally just, it's like,
He was really
like
good. He was really good at Clemson. He was really good with the Houston Texans. One of the great seasons you'd ever see.
Listen, I was in the airport flying and happened to be, and the game was up there, and I was sitting at a gate that was happened to be going to Cleveland. Didn't realize it. I just needed to charge, and there was a charger there.
Right.
You should have seen these people. I thought I was bad as a Giants fan. These Cleveland fans, they were like, "Can we get our money? How do we get the money back? Send them back. Whatever." And I was like, God, dog, they've been vocal in the airport amongst themselves. I feel bad for him, but God, he's got to be better.
Also, as a Giants guy, Saquon Barkley was great.
Hey, listen, I'm gonna root for Saquon to the
He
end
was
of time.
great.
He was fantastic.
He looked young and spry. And
Wouldn't you? If you felt you went somewhere where the organization and the team was good, you feel like you got a new lease on life. Everybody's talking about pay him. He's secretly he's like, nah, don't pay me. He's like, nah, you should get paid. He's like, nah, don't pay me. I'm good. I'm all right. I'll take. And now look at him. 3 touchdowns right off the bat.
Yeah.
Showing that he's one of the most versatile, as we've known, one of the most versatile backs in the game, with being able to run, whether it's inside the tackles, outside, and catching the ball.
One college football note I want to bring up with you before we move on to some basketball. Peyton Thorne, he's a quarterback at Auburn. He's a really bad quarterback at Auburn.
I can say I haven't watched Auburn football.
He said after losses such as Saturday's defeat to California, excuse me, it's included requests from money from bettors. Thorne said, they're definitely not sending cash to my Venmo. It's funny, when they lose money, they want their money back, but when they win money on a parlay, no one's ever paid me any of the money.
I love it.
This is something Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the SEC, told me at SEC Media Days. I asked him about betting, and I said, what are the concerns? He said one of them are how people respond to the athletes.
Yes.
And, that's when they really have concerns of their student athletes.
Right, all of a sudden.
is when something like this is happening. That's I think it's kind of funny.
I mean,
how would you have taken it as an athlete? Because who else was it? It was Max Homa, professional golfer. Max Homa, he said that bettors have tracked down his Venmo account and have requested money from him multiple times per week. He said it gets a little old. I think it's kind of funny.
We for you and I, it's funny because it's not happening.
Because I might do it next week to Max Homa.
just because. But the thing is, you have a legit point in that you want to harass me when I lose, but when I make you money you're
not paying out
at all. In no way are you sending me any portion of that. So I understand the point, and to me, the only thing we used to talk about when the gambling thing became legal. I was like, well, now the gloves are off. Like, whether people talk about it, how you're close to it because you have friends that do it, and they're gonna ask you questions. Like, this is It's going to be a slippery slope at some point in time.
Oh, absolutely. It already has been. At the professional level,
yes.
it has been.
Right.
So, both in football and in basketball. So it's only going to get worse. I mean, but as I've always said, so many people are gambling to begin with, whether it was legal or not.
Exactly. Yes.
That to have it legalized makes it regulated. And when it's regulated, you find out who is doing it. If FanDuel wasn't legal, Jonte Porter still would have been gambling on basketball games.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I hear you.
So, all right, want to talk a little Grizzlies. Speaking of Jonte, want to talk a little Grizzlies. We talked a little Jaren last week. I want to talk to you about Desmond Bane, who just got married, by the way. And,
congratulations,
and the pictures
Des.
were spectacular on Instagram from Desmond Bane. Beautiful, beautiful wedding. So congratulations to Des. Man, this is a dude who, okay, let me get my years straight. 2 years ago, started off so amazing, right?
Yes. Yep.
And then was on his way to an all-star year. And then he got injured,
Yep.
and then he stayed out, and then he still wasn't the same the rest of the year.
Right.
Okay. Then he comes back the next year healthy, which was last year. And then he gets hurt. And then they just set him out. Because
Right.
what's the point?
What's he playing for?
But he was playing at an amazing level again.
Right.
I expect in the discussion all-star Desmond Bane this year.
I think if there is team success to go along with how he's continued to get better
Which we
every year,
expect.
what you expect for his team, then yes, because we saw, as you said, 2 years ago, the ability to be able to do it. Now it's just about doing it for the entirety of the year and there being some team success, because you can't just have the numbers without the team success, because it doesn't have a track record.
Right.
So there's going to be other guys whose numbers are going to be in some way similar, because that's just what the game is today. So you have to have something that sets it apart. And so the setting apart for him has to be how good the team is and the effect of what he does individually. Where does that push this team? And also playing some on the defensive side, we saw him do better there. And also with the assists. It wasn't just his scoring has gotten better, but also the assist numbers have gotten better. And he's continued to shoot the ball at a high clip. That's something that can't go unsaid, is because a lot of times guys do it on sheer volume. For him, it's not sheer volume. He's a very efficient player for this team. And if he continues on the same track, team stays healthy, they continue to win, then yeah, you definitely, he puts himself in that talk.
There is I've made the point that I believe this team, the bench is better than what it was 2 years ago.
Right.
That's why I think this team is better than it was 2 years ago. Plus, I think your starters. Now, granted, we kind of just expect Zach Edey to walk in and be, right on board and everything's going to be fine, which probably is unfair to Zach Edey, but I think we all kind of expect it to just work right out of the bat. But I think the biggest question about that team 2 years ago was how good you were from 6 to 13.
Yes.
And I think from 6 to 13 right now, this team is better than what they were 2 years ago. Unfortunately, Gigi's not going to be a part of that, because
Right.
he should be a big part of that. He's not going to be, at least for the foreseeable future, for 3 months at least. But I still think the bench is better. And that's important for a team that wants to go far in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think they're better because there's a little bit better talent, there's depth, but there's also now years that have gone by since 2 years ago.
Right.
And with that, what we saw last season, what guys got a chance to even have more experience playing because of the situation with the injury. So you start to look at the bench and you say Santi Aldama, who has played extremely well starting or coming off the bench in the last couple of seasons and did play good in the Olympics for Spain this year. So you expect for him to be able to float between those front court, if they play big, played the three at some point, with being there. You keep going. Now you just don't know between Marcus, what happens in the starting position, whether it's Marcus, whether it's Vince. that start at that 3 position. One of them will be coming off the bench also, and that just means it's somebody else that gives you defense, but also something on the offensive end and can fit in with the other starters.
Right.
Luke Kennard shooting the basketball, but also did a little bit of playmaking last season. Who else am I forgetting?
Santi's Olympic.
Well, I said Santi, but there's
Brandon Clark.
Brandon Clark. We saw Brandon look like Brandon Clark at the end of last season. So now you give him an entire summer to not just get physically stronger, but also mentally stronger, that everything is okay with his lower body.
Does it mean anything that, or is it a silly media sort of comment to say this team, their legs are rested? I mean, the miles on these legs, they've taken a break on how many miles they've put on them here in the last 8 months.
Yes, and you hope that means that they are physically ready to go. Listen, sprained ankles, free accidents,
those things happen.
That's just I think that's just the nature of the game. That's the nature of sports in general, whatever sport you're playing.
Right.
But I think that they won't have to worry so much about, well, this guy's been playing for this many years. They've been playing through the summer, and that's something that it doesn't worry. But the other thing it is the hunger for all of them to get back to what it was and continue to move, because everything was positive for this team.
Right.
They hadn't seen it. We hadn't had any bumps in the road at all as we were going through for those 4 seasons. And so now this was the first sort of stumble for them. And so I think that they'll be chomping at the bit to get back at it. And the youth, but they still have the core of what makes this team good, will be back together, with, like you talked about, a better bench.
Each year, the last couple of years, we've had the question of who's going to take the biggest leap. And the one year, I think it was Santi, and everybody's like, Santi? I mean, that was when Jaren was out and Santi had to start.
Yep.
And we were like, Santi's going to start? Seriously? And he was great. I mean, playing in that role, he was fantastic. Couldn't have had a better fill-in on this roster. It was amazing. And then last year who was it last year? Well, last year it doesn't really even matter.
I was about to say.
I can't remember who it was last year. Desmond. Des?
That's Desmond.
And he was amazing until he got hurt. Who is it this year? Who's the player poised to take that big leap?
So I think if you would have asked before the injury, I thought Gigi would have been that guy, because he would have been able to be him and do what he did with other really good players next to him.
Right.
So he wouldn't have had to be the focus, but he had the mentality and he has the skills that this team really needs in order to move forward. And so with the amount of time that he'll be out, I say this is a guy we didn't talk about on the bench side. I think the guy that is poised to take that step and needs to will be Jake Laravia. We saw Jake take some steps from last year. It's easy to go with the other guys, but I'm talking a guy who will be important for this team to win because of his size, versatility, and needing to make shots. And he was on the floor enough to get a little bit of a feel for the game. I think he got a taste of what being more than just a shooter can be successful for him.
And he hustles a bit on defense.
Yes, and so I think he's ready to take another step, and he'll have the opportunity with Gigi's injury.
I got so angry at Jake during Summer League when he pulled up lame and he started grabbing at his knee and he's limping all the way down the floor, and he intentionally fouled to come out of the game, and I'm like, are you serious, dude? And I was so angry. I was ready to text our group and say, I can't believe Jake. He's hurt again. And then 2 minutes later, Jake checks in and knocks down a shot. I was like, yeah, Jake.
Well, I was happy for him because he just kind of stayed with it. Things weren't going his way. People weren't going his way. But he just stayed the course, and he got a chance and performed well, and he'll get another chance.
All right, guys who are going to take a big leap this season in the NBA. This is according to CBSSports.com. They believe with Victor Wembanyama takes a big leap. What's his leap?
team success. Like I think that's like individually we saw that.
Can he do that that quickly?
That stands to be seen.
Yeah.
And I think at least they'll start to put some veteran guys around them to give them a chance to win, not just a chance to be out there running around learning the game, but now start to give a serious chance to win. And so I think if he can do that, then that is a huge leap for him because his skill is undeniable.
They say poised to be one of the 10, 15 best players overall in his second season. How about that? Number 2, Chet Holmgren. One of the best defenders in the league. Holmgren's leap, if it happens, will come on the offensive end where he becomes a higher volume three-point shooter.
I think what would be good for him, I think they signed a big. I think they got a big on there with Oklahoma City that can play, that maybe allows him to play the forward also, and be like Jaren. See, he's very similar to Jaren in terms of skill and what makes them really good in that he can roam defensively, use his length to block shots, but he also is fine to play out on the floor if you have to switch. He moves well enough. He uses his length. But then on the offensive end, like he's good with the basketball. And so if you got somebody else that has to do the banging and he can just be the offensive player, defensive roamer, then that may work out better for him. That allows him to have even more success.
Brandon Miller, Charlotte. You like him?
I like him. I liked him in college.
Yeah.
I know what. I just hope that they do enough and serious enough to put some things around him that are basketball, like really make it a basketball team.
Yeah.
That's going out there with a real chance to win games. He's a good player. He's as smooth of a scorer as you're going to see.
Yeah. What about Scoot?
I never saw him play.
Oh,
we had a great talk when he came in. He was working out. I had an opportunity to meet him before the game. Great demeanor, and in that short time, you could tell that he was a student of the game and that he knew who I was. Like to know somebody like myself to be as young as he is,
right,
that just lets you know that in some way you've been into the game. And so, but I didn't see him. We never saw him play against us.
Did they ever? Do they ever say I had your basketball card when I was a kid?
I haven't had a basketball card, but it is. I remember seeing you. I remember seeing you on the game, on the video game.
On the video. Yeah. What about Jalen Johnson of the Hawks?
He's that type. Like he's the prototypical NBA player right now. I think he's like 6'8", 6'9", somewhere around there. Handles the ball, shoots on the outside. Looks like Gigi in the way that they play. And so it has gotten enough opportunities with that Hawks team. Like they drafted him high, but played a lot of his basketball in the G League early on, but has just continued to ascend and move up. And so I like his upside.
A couple of Warriors, Jonathan Kuminga.
I mean, how could you not like him?
Right?
I mean,
hate the Warriors have him.
How could you not like him? I mean, he's electric. He's electric on the floor. Like when we watch Ja, and you sitting there like something gonna happen.
Right.
I feel like that when Kuminga's on the floor, and as many times, and it's nice to see, it was nice to see Golden State recognize what they had in him. Finally, They groomed it, and then eventually you had to take the reins off, and they took the reins off, and she kicked our ass in every game that we played, and he's electric on the floor.
Yeah, and Podziemski.
Podziemski he's a nice little hard-nosed player. Will get underneath your skin when he has to, but he's good too. I like lefty, right? He's a lefty.
Jabari Smith Jr., Houston Rockets.
I'm gonna tell you this much. I think Jabari Smith Jr. I don't want this to be true, but I almost feel maybe Tobias Harris, yo.
What's wrong with Tobias Harris? We've had this discussion. All the guy does is give you a double-double, 20 and 10.
Bro.
That's it. That's it. Every night.
Who?
Tobias Harris.
Stop that. Tobias
Holy
Harris.
crap.
Tobias Harris gives you a double-double 8 times a year. Stop that.
What?
He gives you this
times a year.
This is what I'm telling you. This is what I'm
hell.
trying to tell you. Tobias Harris is. I'm a fan, and this is what I'm saying because I continue to be like he's a dude that's he's a tease. It's a tease. He's a tease. It's like he literally is like God dog he's sexy, but it just won't work. Like he should be, but it's just why does it not? And you watch. I promise you.
And he's gonna keep making a lot of money.
Yes, because somebody's gonna be like, man, that dude he's got
sexy.
it. Yes, he's got it. It's there, but it's just when the games, it's just consistently. I don't know if it's you need more people to believe in it, something, but I don't want him, and also just to get lost in the rest in that Houston team.
All right, good stuff. Good stuff. All right, this is my favorite NBA moment of the week. Trae Young has accomplished quite a bit during his 6-year NBA career, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. The Hawks star believes he'd be the best player to ever play if he was 6'8". All right, you ready?
Stop it, bro.
You ready?
Okay. See, that's do you understand? That's why I don't.
Let me quote him. I used to have this saying, I hate when I see guys that are tall, and that's all. You know what I'm saying? That's stupid, first of all. He said they're just tall, and that's it. They can finish, they can do some stuff, but if I was 6'8", I feel like I would be the best player to ever play this game because of my mentality and the smartness I have on this game. He said smartness.
Yes,
Which
Trey.
is great.
Hey, you know what? I just say if I was 6'5", I don't need 6'8". I wish if I was 6'5", I would have played 5 more years.
Who would you have been if you
NBA.
were 6'5"?
6'5", I would have been Jason Kidd.
Yeah! How about that?
I would have been Jason Kidd, the
Would you have been
dark-skinned Jason Kidd.
Would you have been able to become a late bloomer too?
Shoot
from
the 3.
and
What?
everything?
I would
Oh, yeah.
listen. I would be set shot.
Yeah.
Listen, move, bang, bang. Like I catch it here, bang, step out there and shoot it.
Nice.
Volume. They said that's all you have to do. That's what I would have been. I wouldn't no more, a little bit more athletic maybe, but that would have been it. So hey, you know what, Trey? I'm with you, brother.
All right. Good for Trey. I love the confidence. The NBA also announced an important rule change on instant replay. That if a coach challenges an out of bounds call, the officials now on the out of bounds call can look to see if a foul caused the out of bounds call.
That's a good one.
And they can cause the foul instead of out of bounds.
So it puts a little bit more on when those dudes are as soon as it goes out and everybody in the back is reviewing and seeing it, like they're looking at the coaches see.
Right.
It's one more thing for you to have to look at when you're saying, yeah, it's off us, but hey, did he foul him in order that made it go out of bounds?
Yeah.
But I always say if you're gonna go review it, you might as well. There's the foul. You might as well call it.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, Caitlin Clark, Conference Player of the Month. First time a rookie's ever done that. Congratulations to her. Angel Reese done for the season with a wrist injury.
I saw that.
That's too bad because I was looking forward to co-MVPs and let the controversy just the conspiracy theory people just go crazy with that.
I'm gonna tell you this before we move on. There's a hell of a game, Aces versus Liberty the other day.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm telling you, like it's. I told you that the athleticism of the game, of the women's game, bro, is on another level. This like they always had the skill, but to be able to combine the two now, it's.
I'm so upset I can't bet it. Because if I could bet it, I'd definitely be watching. But right now, I'm kind of gearing up for what the playoffs are going to bring. I'm gonna get fired up for the playoffs. I'll watch the playoffs.
Yeah, it's gonna be exciting.
But if I could bet it, I'd be in, be in every night. That's just me. And too bad for Angel Reese. I mean, because she's been unbelievable in her rookie season as well. So best of luck in her recovery. A toast. It's an easy one. James Earl Jones passed away at the age of 93. The King of Zamunda.
Yeah, he missing.
Darth Vader. Terrence Mann and Field of Dreams. My favorite baseball movie, my favorite sports movie, Field of Dreams.
Literally, any voiceover for any animal show.
Oh,
or any of those.
yes.
He was
Yeah.
he was the voice of it. Him and his I forget there's another guy that's like has a British accent. But James Earl Jones was big in that. I mean, dude did everything.
93.
And he did everything.
Did everything, yeah. And just feel like that was I hope he feels like it was a great life, because man, that's 93 years old, and he certainly entertained and pleased a lot of people.
93. Listen, if you make it to 93, you've lived a great life.
Right.
It's 93. I want to make the 93 and be right out there, making a swing and just keel over.
As it goes in the cup.
I don't even know. I didn't even know.
I didn't even know. All right, that's going to do it for us this week. Thanks for joining us here on Night Court. As of course, if you're listening to the podcast, you can tune into the podcast and see the video version of the podcast each and every week as well, just by going to the Bluff City Media YouTube channel. Bluff City Media YouTube channel, and you'll find Night Court. Also, we'll be tweeting it out and sending links to the video as well, so easy to find. And you can watch the video. Also, for those that you are listening, thank you for listening to the podcast. You can pick it up wherever you get your podcasts and listen in the car or wherever you are on the run. So that'll do it for us this week. We'll be back with you again next week. Cheers to James Earl Jones, man.
Toast.
So absolutely. For BK, I'm Fish. Thanks for joining us here on Night Court. We'll talk to you again next week.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to the Night Court podcast. If you enjoyed Rob and Brevin, hit that like button, subscribe to the Bluff City Media YouTube channel, and enjoy the content. We will see you back here next time.